Have you ever picked up your phone for just a few minutes, only to realize an hour had quietly disappeared? That was Noah's life. Every evening after work, he sat by the window in his small apartment, telling himself he would only check a few messages. But one video became another. One notification led to another. And before he knew it, the night was almost over. The notebook on the table stayed closed. The glass of water remained untouched. His phone had become the center of his attention. The habit followed him into the night. Long after he should have been asleep, Noah lay in bed staring at the glowing screen. He knew he was tired, but he kept scrolling, hoping the next post or video would somehow make him feel better. Morning always came too soon. He woke up exhausted, rubbed his eyes, and reached for another day with very little energy. Even while getting dressed for work, his attention stayed fixed on his phone instead of the mirror in front of him. On his way to the office, Noah barely noticed the busy streets around him. People greeted friends. Buses arrived. Birds filled the morning air. But his eyes rarely left the screen in his hands. At work, things became even harder. He sat at his desk with unfinished reports waiting for him. Yet every few minutes he checked another notification. His computer stayed open, but his focus never stayed long enough to finish what he had started. As the hours passed, the unfinished work continued to grow. Looking at the pile of tasks made him feel stressed. Yet whenever he felt stressed, he reached for the very thing making it worse. During lunch, his co-workers laughed and shared stories together. Noah sat only a few steps away, but instead of joining them, he quietly looked down at his phone. He was surrounded by people, yet he felt completely alone. When the workday finally ended, Noah walked out of the office, still staring at his screen. Even on the bus ride home, he never noticed the city passing outside the window. The habit had quietly followed him everywhere. After arriving home, he walked through the front door and sat at the dining table without putting his phone away. His mother had prepared dinner and waited to spend a little time with him. She gently called his name. Noah finally looked up. He saw the warm meal on the table, the smile on his mother's face, and the disappointment she was trying not to show. For the first time, he realized how many simple moments he had been missing. Later that evening, Noah sat alone at his study desk. He wasn't scrolling anymore. He simply stared at the phone in his hand. A question filled his mind. When did this become such a big part of my life? Curious, he opened his phone's screen time report. The numbers surprised him. Hours upon hours had disappeared every single day. Time that could have been spent resting, reading, talking, walking, or simply enjoying life had quietly been replaced by endless scrolling. That night, Noah made one small decision. He placed his phone inside the top drawer of his desk before going to bed. It didn't solve everything, but it was a beginning. The next morning, he woke up and left the phone where it was. Instead of checking notifications, he prepared a simple breakfast and enjoyed a quiet meal without a screen beside him. When he arrived at work, he placed his phone inside his desk drawer before opening his computer. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Several times he wanted to reach for it. Instead, he focused on one task at a time. Slowly, his report came together. For the first time in days, he finished his work without feeling overwhelmed. At lunch, he joined his coworkers instead of eating alone. The conversations were simple. They laughed about everyday things. Noah realized he had missed these small connections more than he knew. After work, he walked through a nearby park before going home. He noticed flowers he had never seen before. He heard birds singing. He watched children playing and families enjoying the evening together. Life had always been happening around him. He had simply been looking somewhere else. Back home, he spent dinner talking with his mother. Later, they washed the dishes together while chatting about ordinary things. The evening felt lighter than it had in a long time. Instead of spending another night scrolling, Noah opened a book he had not touched for months. Then came the real test. The next evening, while sitting at his study desk, his phone suddenly lit up with new notifications. His hand almost reached for it. He paused. He took a slow breath. Then he gently turned the phone face down, opened his notebook, and began writing instead. It wasn't a dramatic victory. It was a quiet choice. And sometimes, quiet choices change our lives the most. The following morning, Noah woke up feeling rested. He enjoyed a peaceful walk through the park, smiled at the world around him, and later wrote down new personal goals while sitting on a bench. His phone was still part of his life. It simply wasn't in control anymore. Addiction doesn't always begin with something dangerous. Sometimes it begins with small habits repeated every day until they quietly take over our time, our attention, and even our relationships. The good news is that change doesn't have to happen all at once. One small decision, one healthy habit, one day at a time. That's how lasting change begins. Thank you for watching Orivelle Diaries TV. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more amazing stories every day.